Well, guys, I'm here with Professor Nicolas, and just finished training some Savat. Um, my son Keon and I just trained with Professor, and I've been noticing that these young guys, Professor, uh, man, the speed
Oh
is
yeah.
so remarkable, and I feel like I'm 10 times slower now. And I guess what makes that faster is the angles that we use, Professor.
Yeah, the angle and I think the way he's setting up everything, like he's so loose that it's very difficult to read what he does, and so we don't have as much time to prepare than we would with people who tend to set up things the same way.
Yeah.
So yeah, the movement, the the lucidness of the footwork, like coming in, coming out, like you don't know if he's going to come to you or not,
Yeah.
and so figuring it out takes a lot of guessing, and the guessing takes away from
From
being able to
yeah.
actually execute
It's like a
a
brain
plan.
fog.
Yeah, yeah,
Brain fog.
exactly.
Um, it's interesting because it's like you're starting all over again and you're training all over again, but you know what you have to do. So that was interesting. That's one thing I learned in this lesson. Is the only way to beat speed is your angles.
Yeah, angles and which also, I mean, comes from the experience that you've had, moving and controlling like the distance, really, because that's the key.
Yeah.
And so when you control the distance, then timing is, you know, easier.
Easier.
But yeah, I do feel you. I mean, I'm 20 years older than you, so I'm that much slower, and so I can rely on the speed that I used to have, like that Kian
Yeah.
uses when he's moving around,
Absolutely.
and so timing is what's left, and what you know, and how you use your defensive moves, how you set up your traps.
Yeah.
That's what's left.
Professor, you're huge on no stutter stepping. When you step, there's a direction you're stepping, and there's a certain distance that you're stepping before you do your multiple kicks. Can you touch on that? No stutter steps, using your footwork is very crucial. I know you talk about that.
Yeah. So, coming from the salad background where the distance is so specific, like the leg has to be extended, uh, it's being very intentional with the stepping that you do. So, if you know you want to be outside, and then you're gonna have to kick and then direct that leg right away. So, you have to have this blueprint on when, how you, what kind of impact you're getting on the body, and use that to prepare the next move. Any intermediate step that you're going to take in between, if you're fast enough, like Ian is, that's fine. But for us, that's what's going to make the difference.
Exactly.
So offensively, but even more defensively. And I think that's one way, to like contain people when they tend to pressure you and they're not used to that long kicking range. You kick, and then instead of stepping out, then you would step out but back,
Back.
and like use your range to and really plan on when there will be coming, as opposed to always go for it.
Yeah,
Let
like
them
baiting
come
them.
into yeah let them
Baiting them.
come into your distance.
What do you think the most important thing is in Savat when age takes over? What's the most important thing? Or is there multiple important things?
In terms of training, you mean?
In terms of training, in terms of the mind goes, the sharpening the brain, you know.
So sharpening the brain, I'm really at a stage where I'm in 60, where
How old are you right now?
I'm turning 61 next month.
So Professor's turning 61. I'm gonna be turning 48 a couple of weeks. Uh, so sharpening that brain, you know,
Yeah,
stay moving.
because the physical abilities are not the same. Like, I mean, you can't hide it.
No.
It's the way it is. You're not as strong. I mean, I'm not as strong. You are, but I'm not strong, as fast, as resistant. So I gotta be, smarter about the things I do and how I do them.
Yeah.
So like I cannot keep the pace that I used to be able to sustain, 20, 30 years ago, for sure. So I gotta be more aware of the things I cannot do anymore, and um, and really push the one that I'm still okay with,
Yeah.
and that's trying to confuse people with the specifics of Savate kicking range.
Yeah, exactly. It's beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Professor. Another amazing day with Professor Nicolas. He's
Yeah, beautiful.
one of the best. He's a great man, great human being, and he has taught us
So
so
are you.
much here. So thank you, Professor. Love
Yeah,
you.
I love you too.